Okay, James, it's on you.
Okay, you on Zoom. All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talks evening edition, special evening edition. You know, we usually come on Thursdays in the evenings and Monday mornings, but we have a special edition this Monday evening, and we're glad and we hope all of you are joining us tonight. And tonight I'm here. My name is James Slim Overton, and I'm here with my co-host, Leah Dre Stitt and Thomas the Colonel Chapman, styling his cowboy hat.
Yeah.
After a victory. But anyway, we are here. It's a special night for us, and we have the guest. And the Colonel is going to give our disclaimer, and then Leah's going to lead off the discussion. But first, I have to say this: 1968, and I started college in the early 70s, and that poster, that picture of John Carlos and what Tommy, is it Timmy?
Tommy
No.
Smith.
Tommy Smith. Yes. And Peter Norman. Iconic posters, and they were all through our dorms, along with Angela Davis. So it was a beginning for us as college students, freshmen, probably starting a sense of Black pride. And so it's an honor for me to be in your presence, sir, and as well as our other guests. And we have Miss Green here, who has been a guest on our show, and a Portsmouth relative. But anyway, Leah, or the Colonel, go ahead and give your disclaimer, and Leah, you can lead off the discussion.
Okay.
Yes, to keep us all out of Facebook jail, the views stated on this program are the host and our guests and no one else. So that should keep us out of Facebook jail or wherever. So, Leah?
Well, I tell you, I am honored. I cannot tell you how honored I am. Malaria, I love you to death because it's all because of you that we are honored to have with us on this day an American icon, and none other than Dr. John Carlos. Dr. John Carlos received a full track and field scholarship to East Texas State University, where he led the school to his first Lone Star State Conference championship. Transferring to San Jose State University after 1 year at ETSU, he led the team to its first NCAA championship, tying the 100-yard dash record with a time of 9.1 seconds. At the 1968 Olympics, boy, do we remember that Olympics, those of us who are of age. At the 1968 Olympic Games in Mexico City, Dr. Carlos earned bronze in the 200-meter, and during the award ceremony, he courageously stood up for racial equality on the world's largest stage during the civil rights movement, with his black glove fist raised in the air and removing his shoes alongside teammate Tommy Smith. This act established a legacy of championing for equal rights that continues to inspire Dr. Carlos even until today. He's a Harlem, New York native. He was elected into the National Track and Field Hall of Fame in 2003 for his leadership. In 2008, he accepted the Arthur Ashe, Arthur's from Virginia. He accepted the Arthur Ashe Award for Courage for his service at the 2008 ESPY Awards and was recognized at the White House by President Barack Obama in 2016. Dr. Carlos continues to work for human rights and is a founding member of the Olympic Project for Human Rights. And Dr. Carlos, it is indeed an honor because, as James says, as coming out of high school, seeing that poster everywhere we go of you and your teammate with your fist raised in the air with your shoes off. And I tell you what an inspiring moment. And I am indeed honored that you have chosen to come onto Portsmouth Coffee Talk on today. And I know we're going to talk about you. And Malaria, I know you have some great things that are coming up this Saturday. We will discuss that as well. But for the interest of the young people who may have seen the poster and did not understand what was taking place, Dr. Carlos, could you share about the raised fist, about the taking off your shoes, and there was something about beads as well, if I'm not mistaken. Am I?
Correct.
Could you share that with us, please?
First, let me say it's an honor to be here on the show with you guys today, to have an opportunity to share some of my history. You know, I heard you reading off all those accolades, and I'm saying, God, who is that? You know, I'm too young for all to have done all that in my life. You know? But it's interesting to listen to someone when they read it all, as you just did. Anyway, relative to my involvement in civil rights, I would have to say that started very early in my life as a young kid on Lenox Avenue, just to observe, to see what was going on, and see that 1 minute everything was cohesive, and then all of a sudden there was like a rip in the sheet, so to speak. You know, white folks was happy they was coming around, and then all of a sudden one day they decided, hey, we moving. We out of here. I mean, and it wasn't, you know, like subtle. I mean, it was like together, like they had a meeting that night. We were getting out of Harlem. And I remember asking my dad why, and he was telling me, he said, well, son, I don't know why. I said, well, where are they going? He said, well, I was surmised they're leaving because they don't like the fact that the domesticated workers are now their next door neighbors. Well, at that time, I was too young to understand who the domesticated workers were. So he told me, he said, talking about people like you and I.
Uh-huh.
They didn't want us to, you know, be working for them, and then we the next door neighbor now. So they're leaving. I said, well, where are they going? And he said, well, more likely going out to the country, the suburbs, to get away. And my attitude, well, that gives us much more room around here. But it was greater than that as I began to realize that we didn't have no more than 2 black police in Harlem. We didn't have any black firemen that came through. I observed that just with mere fact, if a fire went down, they would chop up everything and throw it out the window in the black household. And you look on the furniture, nothing burnt. So it looked like they went up there and had a field day. I was looking at how adults would respond to those things. So it was with me from day one in terms of saying, you know, something ain't right and it needs to be fixed. I'm looking around for adults to fix it, but it looked like they was into their own thing and they didn't have their finger on the pulse, so to speak. So I started looking at what do I have as a young individual. I looked at, you know, the talents that God gave me. I didn't particularly like school as a youngster. You know, for me, I thought school was about teaching you how to make some more money. Well, I was hustling as a kid. I was always had money in my pocket. So I didn't pay attention to that early in my life. But then I began to realize through track and field that education is a basic part, an extreme basic part for everyone's life. When I made my first trip to Europe, it made me reflect on what my geography teacher used to always call me up every morning to the geography map, show me England, show me Europe, show me Asia, show me Africa. And I'm insulted. Why you keep bringing me up here? She said, because you need to know. I don't need to know. I'm never going to them places. She said, oh, yes, I have a question for you. And I said, what's that? She said, are you God? And I said, oh, am I God? She said, yes. I said, no, I'm not God. She said, I know you're not God because God told me to get you ready for where you're going.
Okay.
30 days from that point was my first major trip ever. And that stuff that she was trying to get me to learn was right on, like somebody melted it down and poured it on me, the value of education. So now it's a matter of saying what I absorbed as a youngster going through my career in track and field, it gave me a platform or the vehicle that I needed to expose the things that I saw as a young kid coming up through Harlem. I never, you know, like you say, I'm still fighting. You know, that's a part of me. I never left the fact that there was so many individuals that was far more creative than me, far more, you know, had new paradigms, I might say, that didn't make it because of the drugs or the lack of education or what have you. So I still have to think about them people every day. Mm-hmm. They're not the ones that just running around here, those that was lost in the years that I was coming through. So going to the games, we had to create symbols. Getting back to your original question. We went out there, we were all running. I'll say the majority of the black athletes at that particular time was running with black socks on. Uh-huh. All of them, you know, had black socks on, if they had any socks at all. And then we got together, Mr. Smith and I got together, and we looked at what artifacts we had. Mr. Smith had the gloves. He had a black scarf. I had the beads,
Uh-huh.
I had the big shirt. We both represented Puma. So we put the Puma shoe out there as well, because at that particular time, Puma shoe was the only shoe that would really lend to the poor individuals that didn't have. They would make sure they had shoes to run in.
Right.
So I felt it was apropos to take the shoe out there as well. Each one of those symbols represented something in particular. Like when you sit back, you think about the black glove. We put the glove on primarily because this is the first time that the Olympic Games had ever been televised in Technicolor. So we didn't want them to have no misgivings about who we were representing first. Not to say we wasn't representing America, we just representing Black America first.
Uh-huh.
But the essence of the glove is this. They said Black power. When they looked at the fist, they said power. They were looking at power in terms of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
We was looking at power in terms of saying, here are 5 Black individuals. And if one of them say, hey man, if I can move this pebble to the other side of the road, we could make a tremendous difference for society.
Mm-hmm.
And he jumped down out of the 5 and he tried and do it, but he can't do it. The next one said, hey man, I saw what you did wrong. You got to put your hips into it. He jumped down to show him he can't do it. But by the time he come back, that 5 are starting to realize if we come together,
Amen.
then we can move a mountain. That was the essence of the fist. But they tried and turn it into like it was a brutal anti-America symbol, which it wasn't. You know, they kicked out the fact that we said Olympic Project for Human Rights. So that's what the glove was. This black scarf on Mr. Smith's neck represented Black pride. The chains on my neck or the beads on my neck represented the lynchings that had been taking place before my time, during my time, and hence my time. It hasn't stopped. You know, the fact that we went out there barefoot was to illustrate that here we are the greatest country in the world. We can go make a spaceship and land on the moon a half mile from where they say they're going to go. But you tell me you can't kill rats and roaches and disease in the ghettos throughout America? You can't feed the people? It's absurd. So all of these things we try and reflect upon within that one single demonstration.
And you did. And you made a statement. And it's a statement that has lasted throughout time. I mean, it's over 50 years. Over 50 years, and the statement is still there. You know,
Right.
People still have that poster up in their homes and in the schools. And it's such an honor that you even got to the place where you all pulled that together. And like you said, the misconception from the Black power to the fact that the 5 working together can make a difference.
Yeah. Well, you know, I would really like it to be, you know, like a relic in the museum and say, yeah, this is what happened. But the fact that it's still there doesn't mean, it means to me that we haven't really accomplished our mission. Here we are 54 years, 55 years later this month, and we are actually at the same level or farther back than we were 55 years ago.
Yes.
So until we, as I say, come together as a people and say, man, let's put our little petty differences on the side today. We have an equation that we have to figure out or solve the equation in order for us to advance as a society.
Right.
Because society ain't gonna be right if we ain't in no way or another. If they win and they take us out, their life ain't gonna be the same without us no way.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Understand? But the bottom line is what type of life do we want to leave to our kids? And the way it's going right now, it looks like it's going downhill and we don't have no input in it at all.
Uh-huh.
I didn't come this far to put my kids in a hellhole by the time I get ready to leave here.
Uh-huh.
And we sitting back and we allowing them to stick their hand up our back pocket like we little Muppets.
Uh-huh.
And they go get a clown like, you know, Herschel Walker and talk about he gonna run for the president, the Senate seat. And you know, we got clowns that's out there fanning the fire too.
That's right. That's right.
So, I mean, it's time for us to start calling one another out and putting them on Front Street.
Exactly.
What did you have for breakfast this morning? How could you put this poison out to make any young mind that's of age to vote to think that he should vote for this guy?
Can't string 2 sentences together.
Yeah.
That's right. It's time for us to start stepping up now.
Yes,
Yeah, and this is where the humanity comes in that you're involved with now. And it's a shame that, you know, maybe 2 years ago or however long was ago, that athletes still have to kneel in order to get a point across. And the point was made, like you said, 54 years ago, and it should have resonated across time, and we should be much further than we are now. So talk about your run for humanity. And well, one thing,
Well,
Leah,
first we need to introduce Dr. Malaria Green, and we need to introduce Marcellus Carlos.
Right.
Is it Marcellus?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Marcellus, you are John Carlos's
Grandson.
And the young lady beside you.
This is my wife.
I'm
Deborah. What? Hi, how are you?
Your name again is what?
Deborah.
Deborah. So John Carlos, Marcellus, and Deborah. Marcellus is the grandson of John Carlos. And of course, we've had Dr. Malaria Green on here. We just love her to death. So Malaria, as Slim says, share us a little bit about what's coming up on Saturday.
Absolutely. So I'm not going to take all the credit. This was a combination between myself, Neurospace, who is owned by Marcellus. We have Earthside Doula Services by Deb the Doula. And then my husband as well, Willie Green, who is the G-Jump Productions. We decided to create a run for humanities in our area, specifically for Dr. John Carlos. What better way to give back to a generation that came before us by showing him that we did see the representation of the fist. We saw that if we could bring everybody together, especially in the Hampton Roads area, where we've been having so many senseless killings. We've been having kids left behind in schools. We've been having parents, not being able to connect with each other. We just saw a need for us to bring our community together, because the more we know each other, the less likely we'll be to harm each other if I know who my brother and my sister is. So on this Saturday, October the 8th at IC Norcom High School, as Ms. Leah loved to say,
the Mecca,
the best high schools in the area.
The best high school in the nation.
But I'm a warrior, but I love you though, Miss Leah. But we're going to have it at IC Norcom though. And we chose that specific school because we do know that the city of Portsmouth doesn't always get slated as one of the positive cities in our area. So we wanted to bring something positive to it. We wanted to shine a light, and we wanted to bring community resources out there. It's going to be a lot of things happening on that day. The run will start at 8 o'clock. So we're asking everybody to come out because Dr. John Carlos want to see us run, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and put that disclaimer out there. He want to see who's going to beat his time. We'll see. No, but y'all come out, y'all run, y'all walk.
Malaria, I'm gonna have to walk. I apologize. I can't.
No, listen, I'll probably be hiding and tell people it's because I'm a part of the event. I won't even do none of it. But really though, we're gonna be doing that. The walk portion is specifically to show homage to mothers who have lost their children, because October is also National Infant Loss and Death. And being someone who have 2 angel babies, that is near to my heart. And then I know Deb the doula is amazing when it comes to working with mothers on both sides of the plane, whether they're preparing or afterwards. So we just wanted to put something together to make sure that we show those women that we see them. We're going to have live artists, local artists from the Hampton Roads area that's going to come out and perform. We're going to have different people in the community that's going to be performing as well, different vendors. We're also giving the John Carlos Scholarship, the very first one. We're going to be giving up some awards as well. There's some amazing people in the 757 that are unsung heroes that we want to allow for people to hear their song. It literally is just a fun time. Please come out. The registration is free, y'all. You ain't got no excuse. We're not charging y'all a dime. Just come out and build with one another and with each other. But I'm going to pass this to the actual mastermind behind this, Mr. Marcellus Carlos down there, and let him give you guys a little bit of what sparked his desire to show homage to his amazing grandfather.
Appreciate you, Malara. She basically sped out everything that is important about the run, and I appreciate you. Sometimes we do need that extra person to help break down things for us, and she's definitely that, which is why I brought her on. Obviously, you guys know John Carlos as the man that changed the world. I grew up knowing the stories of him because he's about that humanity. Humanity is very important. He's the fastest humanitarian. I mean, that speaks volumes. He speaks volumes himself. To this day, he still goes out and he speaks upon things that should be spoken upon, that is not spoken upon. If that makes any sense. And it's very, very well needed, even still to this day, as he mentioned earlier. And that's the issue. I'm not from this area, as I've moved around, sort of like my granddad, but that just makes a unique person, and I get to see a lot of different things. And so one thing I did see down here is that there's a lack of humanity and the love for human life, you know what I mean, sometimes, you know. And so we have areas down here like Norfolk, Portsmouth, some even areas in Virginia Beach, though we sweep that under the rug. But we could have easily took this to Virginia Beach, right? We could have easily took this up to, you know, the brighter areas where people want big things like this to happen. But I wanted to bring it to the heart of where we need humanity and people to come together. If we're talking about people of color, we still kind of have that less than three mindset together, right? We try to stay with three groups, and everybody outside of that group are sometimes enemies, and that's where we get into trouble and get into these shootings and different things. So what I saw was a lack of that and a need to just come together as a community. It doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter your color or culture. We just need to come together. Like my granddad said, once we put those fists together, and this is, you're talking about five. You're talking about five. What happens when we multiply that? By several things, and all it takes is an idea. So I had this idea back in March. People would say I'm crazy, right? That's less than a year, but the support I came to Miss Malara, who's a licensed clinician. She's working on her doctorate. She just brought the energy, and I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do. And I also want to bring my granddad in, so we're going to have a run, and we're going to have a community event, and we're going to bring people together. I brought my wife on board because she is a doula. Her business is called Earthside, and she cares about humanity as well, and the mothers, that there's a neglect there. So just wanted to hit on all the neglectful things happening on in the community, and be able to bring my grandfather on with his love for humanity. And as you see, this has been one of the fastest put together community events. So, but we hope everybody comes out like it's going to be a blast. I'm excited, anxiety off the roof, but I hope it's worth it, and I hope everybody enjoys it. So that's
so it's from 8 until what time, Marcellus?
It'll be from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
To 1 p.m.
And if you do want to register, like we said, all donations are welcome for the run or the walk portion. Do whatever your heart desires. We will have a community event happening the whole time as well. If you do want to register, I say come at 7:30, so that way you have enough time to be ready for the run when we get started. But like Malara said, we want to see you sweat. Come on out and enjoy yourself.
Well, you see me sweat walking, okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
I'll walk right next to you.
Not running, so.
Clock. That's what I'll be watching the clock, y'all.
Look, I'm a power walk right next to everybody else.
Yes, I'll be power walking with you, Deborah, okay?
I got you.
You know, I don't know if I'll walk, but if you have a high jump pit, I might participate.
Oh,
that's what I did in high
You can
school.
do that. You can do that, but we're gonna have an ambulance ready for you.
He's a dreamer. He's a
And the
dreamer,
firefighters
Marcellus.
will be on
He's a
deck.
But I also wanted to say your timing is perfect for the city of Portsmouth. What we're experiencing here as far as crime, amongst in our neighborhoods, issues with our leadership, not getting along, and the timing is great when you talk about bringing some humanity to the city and the whole Hampton Roads area. So we really appreciate you coming down and doing this and putting it together fast. And we can do everything we can up until to keep promoting and make sure we have a large crowd out there.
We appreciate
Well,
you.
That's
we appreciate all the love that they bring this year, but we want this thing to grow on the city. We want it to grow on the people in the community. We're not going to go away. We anticipate letting this thing grow and grow to the point where we can penetrate the people that's becoming involved to actually get them an opportunity to slow down long enough to meet themselves. Once again, I repeat, slow down long enough to meet themselves and see all the beauty in which they have within them, and lead them into some sort of collaboration amongst one another to do what they say the creator did. Take chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad. I think they have the ability to do it because I've done it. So we're going to be consistent in this, and we just ask you to come out if you can. If any sponsors out there that heard, you'd like to lend some time in terms of sponsorship, we have open arms to that as well. Once again, reach one, each one, teach one.
That's right.
Reach one, each one, teach one. Thank you for the love.
Dr. Carlos, our mascot is the Greyhound, and we have some Portsmouth Greyhounds. Now I need to bring those Portsmouth Greyhounds out and see if you can outrun our Portsmouth Greyhounds.
Well, I can tell you, I could probably look at the picture and tell you which one is the fastest today, but I don't know how fast he would have been in my day.
And Dr. Carlos, Jackie Kendall is telling me that she can beat your time. So we're going to hold her to that. Jackie Kendall, bring it. Dr. Carlos wants to see you to break that time. Was it 1.9? Was it? What was it?
But yeah, Jackie Kendall, she always talk a good game. But one of us seemed to get hurt just before the race every year. So I can't knock her if she pull a muscle. She can't knock me if I get a back pain.
And of course, you know, Dr. Carlos, she mentioned her mother, Flo Kendall, and I'm sure you knew Flo. Flo was very active in Parks and Recreation in the city of Portsmouth, and in fact, they're considering naming the John F. Kennedy Center after Flo Kendall. So that's in process now.
That's a great gesture, and I would hope that they do it, and I would hope they would do it with, like give it like a wind tunnel, give some knowledge on it. Don't just put a name up there. Let's keep the history going as to who this courageous woman was. I don't want them to say, here's a plaque and her name, and nobody know no more than name.
And nobody knows who it is or why it is, you know. And history is so important. It's important to know your history. You know, it's important to teach your children the history. Know your history. And that's why I'm so excited about you today, Dr. Carlos. I can tell my granddaughter who tried to run track that I was actually on air with you today.
Yeah. Well, you tell your granddaughter the track wasn't about running them fast or jumping far. It's about enjoying what you're doing and making friends out there. That's what it's all about. And if you get up to the elite status, then okay, your job is to run track. But up to that point, your job is to enjoy what you're doing in fellowship. Meet some people.
Exactly. Colonel, I'm sorry, Colonel. Come on, Colonel. I see you biting at the bits. I see you biting at the bits, Colonel.
Well, I was trying to wait my turn. But Dr. Carlos, it is an honor meeting you here today. And you referenced your history as Leah read out your bio, just a little piece of your bio, and you referenced saying your history. But I beg the difference because your history is America's history. Exactly. And when we say America's history, is the same thing that the right or the Confederates of the country are trying to whitewash and erase our history, which is your history.
Right.
So when I say that history, those two pictures behind you is history. And they don't even want to mention those two iconic Americans in our history in the schools today because they feel uncomfortable with what they brought forth and what the effects of on our country. And then so you also referenced, doing in 64 and then during that time period, here it is 58 years prior to we were in the mix of a civil rights movement. Add on, fast forward 58 years, and we need another rebirth of a civil rights movement now because we are turning back the clock fast as we can get it. Or they want to turn the clock back faster. And then so young folks need to understand if you do not know your history, then it will repeat. And you don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. I know young Carlos don't want to.
Here's a small part to that, man. You have to realize, and man, it has to be some sort of growth with this history. I mean, we've been spinning around in a circle for a long time for us to come out of it and go back into the same thing. We had to first of all realize, what is it that we want? Right. That's not something that we have flowing through our minds all the time. What is it that we want? Okay. Mm-hmm. The first thing I want my kids to do is to go to school opposed to going through school. Exactly. Not so much that, hey, you're going to be, making the grand theft money, but you can set the stage to make a lot of people have grand theft money. You understand? It's based on the knowledge that you have. We have to have our kids start getting focused, but at the same time, while we get them focused for education, we as professionals, professional football players, professional basketball players, professional entertainers, professional, literary people. These are the people that can create programs or businesses that these young individuals going to college can run and manage and pursue. But we have to give them something. And, I see guys, make a lot of money. They don't want to tell nobody how to spend their money, but they're going out buy 40 cars, big houses, and they're forgetting about where they came from. They got kids on their block that they can send through school. Say, man, something, man, I'm watching you roll them dice. I say, you pretty good with numbers. Let me send you to school, man. Do you ever heard of a CPA? Okay, let me send you to school and get this degree as a CPA. They'll show you what you can do. You can work for the program, and on the backside of that, man, you can have your own private business to keep it working. But we have to apply these things on these young kids and give them some meat to hold on to. We can't just say it and don't have anything behind it.
That's right. That's right.
We got too much entertainers that's walking in too many separate ways. Like I say, we only going to have our strength is in our numbers when we come together. And, but let me tell you how this all started, too. It started back when we was in grade school. We had all the turmoil going on in the house, whether mom and dad is in there with friction going on, or dad didn't come home, or mom is tired from the day's work, or what have you. And you got your little sisters and brothers, you got to raise them because they can't do it, right? Then you get to school, and you knew that they had a spelling test. You wanted to spell them words, but you didn't have time to study them because you got so much on your plate.
Right.
So I come in and say, Mary, you just studied them words? Yeah, I got it. And so listen, I didn't get a chance to study it. Let me see. And you raise up and let me see. And then here comes that people from the other side of the town. Come up, Mary, come up your paper. Hurry up, come up your paper. Don't let Carlo see what you're doing. Understand? And we've been coming up from one another forever. Now, if I learned them words, I could have learned them next week. But I need this grade for today.
For today.
You understand why? That's why you let me see. But they don't understand that. All they understand is keep you separate from me. Keep me separate from you. Cover up. Don't let her see. Don't let him see.
And I'd like to ask Marcus a question. Your generation, Marcus. And you hear the word being woke thrown around a lot. Your generation, are they motivated? Are they discouraged? Where are we with your generation? I know you're a part of something that they're trying to make them aware of more people, but where are you? As you go around and talk to people your age or people in your circle, where are we? Because we're going to need that full force. We can't go on forever.
This is a great question. I appreciate you for answering. My business, Neurospace, also does youth empowerment. So this question actually fits right in there. It's very, very challenging, shall I say, to get through to the youth and my age, and you're talking about even younger now because I'm 28. But you're talking about teenagers. I'll just say this to answer your question: they're distracted. That's where the youth is at right now. They're distracted, and it's easier to be distracted than to do something with life because life has become harder. No matter, I mean, I wouldn't say harder. Obviously, my granddad had a little bit different situations back there, but it's become harder to live in reality for people because we have so many distractions, and we can run from our reality easier, if that makes sense. And so kids are finding it easier to run from reality. So that answers your question as well. Getting these kids back to reality and then having them because I'm a mental health advocate, having them cope with reality, because sometimes reality is harsh, right? And once we start coping with reality, like such as my granddad, he coped with his reality, and then you can actually start changing it for yourself and other people. So that's the biggest thing, is to get them out of their distraction, kind of get them to back to reality, and then have them understand reality and survive in reality. Not only
Let me,
survive,
let
but
me,
then grow.
let me add on a little bit. Is what he said is powerful. But remember, you got to have soldiers on the ground doing that. You got to have soldiers out there. You know, if we don't get a stable where we could put them in their mind and let them know, man, you're a soldier and you got to be out there. You got to be on the bush, because one individual can't do it. I don't care how good you are, but you ain't like the Pied Piper. You're just not gonna be able to do it yourself. And if you was that one individual, think about how long it'll take before you can get back around to give them the second dosage.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I hate hearing. I love hearing it, but I hate hearing it. But exactly, we do need numbers, because I hear it all the time in my realm of mental health advocacy and youth empowerment, is that it's so good to see a young Black man doing it, because there's not many.
Exactly.
And like I said, I love hearing that, but I hate hearing that. And the reason is because I need more soldiers. I need more soldiers.
And Marcellus, where are you located?
I'm located in Chesapeake, but I'm in the Hampton Roads area as far as my business goes.
Okay. And you reach out to schools or to organizations, or?
Yes, like I said, I'm one of the fastest thinkers too. So I put stuff together so quick, just because when I'm about it, I'm about it. And so I just started my mental health business a year ago. I'm in school for psychology now, but it's I'm looking for contracts with different schools, definitely, for sure. So if you guys are out there, neurospace.llc on all platforms, I'm here for it. Yes, ma'am.
And let me ask you this, Malaria, did you get in touch with the leadership in Portsmouth? Mayor Shannon Glover, I'm talking to you now. You need to be out there on Saturday morning at 7 o'clock, ready to walk, Mayor Glover. I called you out, Glover. I need to see you there, okay? And we need to see our city council people out there in support of this. And as well as, it would be good if the schools would bring their track teams out.
Yes,
I mean, what an honor it would be for those track students to meet in person, such as John Carlos. You see him on the picture, but you get to see him in person. So I'm hoping Les Young, I'm calling you out, Les, get Norcom's track team out there on the field on Saturday morning. So yeah, we need to have the schools, the track team members out there. They need to meet this young man that you all are bringing to town.
I would say so. You know me, Miss Leah. I'm not shy, so I've slid in DMs, I've sent emails. I know the whole team has been, doing that. But the reality of it is, it goes back to, people got to understand what humanity is. In this area, we have this is a mind. I know that person. I don't function that way, and none of us do. And I think that is something that has helped us. We have 4 for-profit and 1 nonprofit business that is on this project. None of us could have done this by ourselves. And we realize we are so much better coming together. You got 2 husband and wife teams. Well, technically 3, because Dr. Pass and Mr. Dr. Pass.
Yes, shout out our nonprofit who's associated, Dr. Tanya Pass, and it's called the You Need to Know Ministries, and that's our nonprofit. So shout them out.
Absolutely. So us just kind of coming together, but it comes down to, just in the Hampton Roads area, we got to do better connecting the resources. Marcellus and I was at Norfolk State on Thursday for their wellness fair, and the one question that was asked was, well, why didn't you have it at Norfolk State? And both of us said, well, why didn't Norfolk State answer their emails? And I'm one of them people, y'all already know me, so I'm sorry, Mars. Tell your granddad when he get here, I just say what I want to say. But no, like, we was asked that question, and it's like, we've been doing the groundwork. We've been emailing, we've been calling, we've been showing up, but it's like nobody knows the right person until now. It was, well, he's going to be here. Then everybody wanted to jump and run. And I think that in itself speaks to where we are with humanities, where everybody has value, everybody has worth. So when we're talking about this Saturday, if we want to bring out as many people to that track, that's great. But every person that's here has to be open-minded with an open heart to listen to what's going to be shared, because we're not just going to be there you know, it's to honor Dr. Carlos, which we all love, but it's also to allow for his legacy to continue to live on. And that's going to come from different speakers. That's going to come from different music. That's going to come from different interactions. So we can bring all the teams out there, but people have to be open-minded to have that connection and that relationship. So just like Dr. Carlos said, this is not the one and done. We're going to do this every single year. We would love to take it to every HBCU around the country. We would love to have scholarships upon scholarships. Like, this is not just a one and done, but we started it here in the Hampton Roads area because it's necessary and it's needed. And we want people in our community to see, like, we see you guys. And we come together. We normally tag team. If you see one of us on the team, you're going to see another, whether it's the two wives together, the two husbands, or us mixing, it don't matter. But we're here because the community needs it. Our children are dying every single day by their own hand from suicide or by the hand of someone else because they're just angry. So when we talk about this actual generation, our generation is crying for help. I see a lot of parents that's saying, hey, help me, you know, with my kids. Or I see a lot of kids that saying, hey, I don't have my parents because, you know, we can't do this. So we can all just come together as a community, create these programming, utilize Neurospace and his advocacy and his mental health, utilize Deb the doula, reaching out to G-Joint Production for your music that's actual conscious and positive music, that when you listen to it, it's not going to make you kill your neighbor, but it's going to make you love your neighbor. You reach out to me and I'm talking about your mental health and all those things. Yo, this team couldn't have been anything better. So Dr. Carlos, to you, I thank you for being the footsteps that we get to walk in, to be able to show the world that we can do something different so we don't have to be on that merry-go-round again. I don't want to be here 15 years from now and we're still having the same plight. I want 15 years from now, everybody come to our run as if it's Coachella because everybody know they're going to be there and be loved on and do something better.
Well said, Malaria. Well said, my dear. And I give you a doctorate already. You know that, don't you? Colonel?
Yeah, you know, Marcellus mentioned our youth and our people are distracted. And yes, that is a technique that the Confederates used to distract us. A couple years ago during the pandemic, we had Colin Kaepernick that kneeled. It was a form of protest, the same thing along the lines of Dr. Carlos. But they also took, you know, together, they tarred and feathered him and also you by saying that was an un-American protest back then and now. And then fast forward now, you know, we had the opening, we're in our third week of the pro football, NFL football, and you don't see anybody kneeling. You don't see any discussion of justice and about Black Lives Matter or anything. That is all forgotten. And so it is in time is on their side because we have short memories.
You're a very wise man. Very wise man. Absolutely. That's exactly what happened.
Yes. Time.
But you know, you saw demise with the Black Lives Matter. When you sit back and you say, oh, Black Lives Matter come about. But think about this story here. Think about 1968, maybe we felt like we could make a statement for humanity. And deep thinking that we could make a statement for humanity that would be universal. Everybody on the planet would see it, okay? Then they came and they said, Olympic Project for Human Rights is a militant project. They switched it to militancy. So where we had chose to use Olympic Project for Human Rights, use human rights as our umbrella, we felt that the world would embrace us. And then through that militant thing, they shunned us.
That's
right.
They
understood, but they shunned us. But then at the same time, when Black Lives Matter came, when Mr. Floyd and his demise, when Black Lives Matter was born into the world, they were in the same situation as we were. all around the world. But you sit back and you look and say, just like our demonstration was seen all over the world, where Black Lives Matter was all over the world, up in smoke, on people's T-shirts, on the billboards, in the magazines, on TV, on the radio, everywhere. Just as you said. But when Black Lives Matter made the mistake, and this is a crucial mistake, and the mistake was that they had the power at that precise moment to say, now it's time for us to have a roundtable discussion.
Amen.
And on this side of the roundtable discussion, we know who needs to be there from the opposing side.
Exactly.
We need to have the federal government sit at the table. We need to have Fortune 500 sit at the table. We need to have the clergy sit at the table. We need to have the banking industry sit at the table and the Board of Education. Those are the paramount people we need to sit on the opposite side of the table. Then the question is whether we can settle down or strong enough to let us put the right people to be on our side to represent. Because if I threw Minister Farrakhan out there, it's going to offend some people. So we would have to go
That's right.
We would have to go through that on our side.
Yes.
Okay? But in the meantime, they let the thing sizzle out to the point where we didn't never got a chance to ask the society that we have on the other side of the table. Say, let me ask you guys a question. Do you feel that what has happened over the last 500, 600 years, that did you have any responsibility towards that? Well, we didn't do. I said, do you feel like you have any responsibility? Then if they say yes, and then now there's grounds where we can roll our sleeves up and get busy to try and solve this thing.
Exactly.
But that never came about. We never had a roundtable discussion. So what they did, they said, well, Black Lives Matter came from nowhere and then you heard them bragging about they had $100 million in their caucus. People donated, corporations gave. And then right after you heard that, the first thing they did, they dropped something out. Oh, so-and-so spends such and such money on such and such property, okay? And then the feud started. Got the fiction.
That's it.
The Black Lives Matter imploded from within, and they do it to us all the time.
All the time.
They do it to us all the time. We still ain't working through it yet.
And then, Dr. Carlos, then we have situations like this fashion week that they had when Kanye West walks out with a shirt on saying white lives matter. You know, so you got the dividers within our group already, you know, the dividers are there.
It's all about mindset. Like, we have to understand it goes deeper than what we do on a grand scheme of things. If you don't think that a certain set of people is human, you can put humanities, human rights, you can slap that bad boy up there. But if you don't think that those people are human, that's not what's going to happen.
Right.
So we have to understand, like, people get so mad when we bring up, well, slavery, and it's because, you know, we had a life before that, but we got to understand when we got here, the messaging that we were given, like in African-American communities, we are fighting one another because we were never taught how to be human beings. We were taught how to be servants. So even when it came
but you know, baby girl, when I was a kid, and I ain't that far from you. But when I was a kid, you know, my people used to teach me about, and remember now, my father was born 40 years after slavery. Okay? So you sit back, you say, now he didn't know a whole bunch, but he knew enough to teach me about morals. He taught me about values. He taught me about respect. He taught me about honor. He taught me about hard work. Those things that I just mentioned seem like somewhere along the way, we lost that in terms of passing that down to our kids.
That's right.
Okay? Right. So, and you know, parallel to what you're saying is what I told Michael Jackson years ago when he came out and he did that song, Man in the Mirror. I told Mike, I said, Mike, we don't have contact with ourselves. That's why I said in the interim earlier, I mentioned that. I mean, how many of us know the man or the woman in the mirror? We go there every day, wash our face, brush our teeth, do our hair, the whole shot every day. But how many of us actually looked at the reflection in the mirror and got in touch with yourself?
Amen.
We don't. And then we fight and we try to find it other places, and it just don't work out, which ends up breeding hate. Because if I don't have self-love for myself, how am I gonna love my next person?
Absolutely.
You can't do it. You can't do it.
Somebody, you said about love. That little girl in my class one year come to me and she was upset. And I said, baby, what's the matter? Talk about it. She's like flaming. I said, sorry, baby girl, I love you. She stopped cold. She said, I don't want your love. I don't need your love. And I looked at her. I was kind of surprised when she said that, but I looked at her and I told her, I said, you know something? I gave the love to you. You can't give it back to me. All you can do is sprinkle it around you and see if you can shake it off to somebody else. But you can't give it back. I didn't give it to you. Now, years went by, and I'm driving down the street in my car. Palm Springs, California, down the street. And I hear this, Mr. Carlos. So I look through my mirror and I see this girl. She got 2 little girls with her. So I said, maybe they need a lift. So I turn the car around and I go back. And I lean out the window and I say, what can I do for you ladies? You in trouble? So, oh no, Mr. Carlos, I saw you driving by. And then she looked at the little girl. She said, this is Mr. Carlos. This is who I've been telling you about. And then she looks at me and she said, Mr. Carlos, do you remember me? And I, if I don't remember, I usually look at her and say, no, baby girl, help me. I said, no, baby girl, help me. And just as I said, help me, it hit me. That was the little girl that told me, I don't want your love. Don't give me your love. She told her daughters, this is Mr. Carlos. This is the one that taught me about love and why I love you guys so much. And you can see through her the way she had little girls dressed. She loved her little babies. But you never know what you're doing.
You never know.
Somebody.
Never know how you touch someone.
Yeah, you never know. And the word, I sound my thing every day. When I send something out, I say much love at the end of it. And I notice a lot of people starting to pick it up because it's almost like it's a newfound word. They never heard that, and it feels good. But we got to start putting it out more and more so people can get comfortable around it. But I'm going to say this before I go.
Who said you're going? Who said we're going to let you go?
Well, I got a party time. Listen,
Okay, Dr. Carlos.
no, when you sit back, you think about this. And here's something we need to really focus on. We let them slide every day, and this is what the Mr. Thomas was talking about. Well, Mr. Thomas made a statement about how they use the game on us, and the game ain't a new game; is repetitious, but we ain't paying attention. You understand? And when you sit back, you think about the game they use every time they use black or dark, it's in a negative sense. They got us using it to ourselves. And, oh, it's a dark day. No, what do you mean it was a dark day? Hey, man, they blackball you. No, it ain't no black man blackball you. Whiteball you. They whiteball you. Why you gonna put it on me? You understand? The only time that they use black or dark in a positive is when they talk about their economics.
Yes.
You understand? We in the black, we making money. You understand? Why they say we in the green or we in the red? No, we in the black. We making money. And you know why that is?
Because the economics.
Because we black people spend more money per capita than any race.
That's where their dollars come from.
That's right. They say we in the black.
All of them started saying for black.
Hey, they say forget the color code. We're gonna call it black. You understand? So I'm sitting back and I'm saying we got to be careful of the words we doing to one another because they got us, they brainwashing us so subtly and we don't even know it.
Exactly.
Well, you know what, Dr. Carlos, brainwashing, and you mentioned your father and being born after slavery, but slavery has not died because folks that say here in Tidewater or in our area, or especially down south in Mississippi and in the Federal states, there's a mindset that they are still slaves.
I believe that.
They still slaves. And you look at, and I'll use Jackson, Mississippi, 80,000, the largest city in Mississippi that is 80% black. And you have a state legislature and a governor that stops them. They wonder why I can't get the infrastructure so I can have clean water for 80,000 people. But of those 80,000 people or black people that live there, less than 10% of them vote. And so mindset, if you can't help yourself and you gave away the only power you have, say if that 80,000 got together and went to the polls in 1 year, at one time, they could take over every state house, you know, the governorship and the lieutenant governor and the attorney did, just that 80,000, just overturn.
Remember what my grandson said earlier? And I said to him, I said, yeah, man, you got to have boots on the ground.
That's right.
You gotta have boots
That's
on
right.
the
Gotta have boots on the ground, man. It's easy for us to say this, man, but people don't want to work.
Yeah.
People, they think they got it made, man. I don't want to get involved. Only time they start crying is when they see themselves get shot on TV.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, then we upset for 30 days, 60 days, then after 61 days, we back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep.
You understand?
And
So,
then 2 weeks later.
I mean, I sit back a lot of times, I wonder to myself, I said, man, I just went through the line. I said, I wonder how Harriet Tubman really felt. I could just feel her pain, because the pain ain't dealing with the opposition.
You're dealing
Pain
with
is in-house.
You're dealing with your
That's the
people.
pain. I say, Nat Turner, think about Nat. They had Nat, and Nat is the most least recognized man. They try to bury Nat real tough.
Right.
Because Nat went for Christianity. Nat came in, he had the Bible, he said, but some caught Nat's attention, and Nat said, this ain't adding up.
Uh-huh.
This ain't adding up. I'm preaching, and Nat said, wait a minute now. Oh, it's a game you playing.
Yeah.
And then Nat became public enemy number one.
That's right. That's right.
You see, they don't want to give Nat's story because Nat's story come up with Christianity. So they ain't trying to, Christianity is like saying an alien is walking down the street. There's taboos. You don't talk about them.
Right.
So I'm saying, I would just get a feel for I know what Jackie Robinson was feeling.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Or Jesse Owens, I know what they was feeling. But I'm imagining what is Nat Turner felt like.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? What does Harriet Tubman felt like? What did Paul Robeson feel like? Because it's almost like they did so much for our people, and our people just shunned that shit like it wasn't nothing.
Yes.
You know?
You're so right. Well,
Right.
Yeah, you reference athletes. I got I signed this big time contract. Say I'm gonna use a basketball player, and I'm making $40-50 million a year. Just imagine, just sit back and imagine if you took those black athletes that are making $40-50 million a year, and each one of them set $10 million aside, and said, and they put it in an investment account, and at the end of 5-10 years, they'd have the $1 billion to own their own teams. But they're not. But they're all for themselves. It's like crash.
Hey man, that's exactly what I'm saying. Man, we got so much money out there. If they would just slow down long enough to realize what they could do. I mean, we just realizing that. Hey man, the profit ain't in the gold chains. It ain't in the diamond rings. It ain't in the cars. If you get some money, the profit is in land. Buy you some land. We just getting to the point where we can buy land, but we want to go and buy a $50 million home. What I need with a $50 million home? You understand? Yeah, if I'm trying to get 50 million lots, okay, well, I can start a city or something one day. But what I would need to invest in money in a $50 million home when, man, the bathroom is big as my house. What I need more than that for?
Yep.
So we got to bring reality to ourselves, because as my grandson said, we in a time and zone where you have to ask yourself when you go out your door, is it real or is it Memorex?
Yeah.
I mean, because everything is moving so fast.
It is. It really is.
Everything. You remember when you was a kid, you was growing up, they had a little 6 transistor radio that you can put in your pocket.
Right.
Now, they do a radio every 3 days. You got a different radio with 2 more knobs that they put on, or 2 knobs they took off. And we going for it. So,
Same thing. Same thing.
It goes back to solidarity.
Dr. Carlos. And Dr. Carlos, I just had to bring this up because I know you played for the Philadelphia Eagles. Am I correct?
I attempted to, yes.
You attempted to play for Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, you tried to get into to football as well.
Right.
But and the thought of our knowing and sharing with our young people our history, like you said, a mouthful. Those many kids don't even know those individuals that you just spoke of. They don't have a clue as to who those individuals are. And then you look at the situation that took place with the California varsity football team just this week, where they had to suspend the team for the rest of the season because they're going to auction off the black players like having a slave auction.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
history. No.
Or think about the girls that went to BYU with the volleyball.
Exactly.
You know, it ain't got to be called out their name. But see, we are so, you know, we train like the pit bull to attack ourselves. You understand? But we don't have, and you know, a lot of guys get mad when I say this. The only way we're going to come out of this, the black women going to bring us out of this.
Amen.
Black men get mad, but the black women are the ones going to do, they going to do it. Because the black men are too complacent. They ain't got enough fire in them. They ain't got enough fire in them. And that's what you need, fire to step up in somebody's face. That's why I like the girl, Stacey.
Stacey Abrams.
Stacey be in their face. I ain't going nowhere. And I ain't got to throw no bricks at you because I ain't going to, I'm coming here with a smile on my face. But I ain't going nowhere until we come to an agreement.
And Katanji did that today when she went up against the justice, when he brought that, I can't think of the case now, but she came right at him. She let him know, I'm not going to be the one just sit here and take what you say and not come back and challenge what you say.
There you go. There you go.
It's gonna be the black women, Malaria, Deborah. It's gonna be the black women. You all are gonna be the ones. Y'all gonna have to bring this world. Look.
Well, I got a lot of daughters, so you know I know it's gonna be on the right track. I know I got some influence in there somewhere. But on the serious note, that's the way I see it. You know, like you gotta have a base somewhere.
You do.
And until the black women assert themselves strong enough, we don't have that base. You know, just like the hurricane, you see that hole in the center? That's what creates the force. We don't have a center. We don't, as our race, we don't have a center. Every race that come here, they got a center. Mexicans come in and say, look, we got 20 deep. So the first half gonna work in the daytime and the house is open. The second half gonna come in to sleep. When the day half go, the second half go to work. You know, and next thing you know, they got 50, 60 new houses because they work together. We can't wait to go buy a can of beer. Shit. You know, and the sad thing about it, if you sit back and think about it, that song say, listen to the clock on the wall. It's something to that because the sand clock is running out. You know, if you sit back and say the Bible said the weak shall inherit the earth, the meek shall inherit the earth. Well, we were supposed to be the meek. But the small print said, but you don't realize you don't have a whole bunch of time left.
You don't.
You enjoy what he leave for you. Because we're still procrastinating. I hope I didn't chase the fellas away because I said the women got to step up.
Look, Dr. Carlos, they understand it.
And
they ain't stuck around. My grandson stuck around. The other two, they left me.
No, we with you, brother. We with you. We with you. We realize that. Every man should realize that. But as we wind down, I just like to say, Liam mentioned the mayor, and I like to put this out to the rest of the council. This is an opportunity to put aside the petty bickers that they're having right now, you know, and come to this event. I know you like photo ops, but while you're taking those photo ops, take the message of this run for humanity and run with it back to the council seats and act like you know, come together just like Dr. Carlos was talking about. We need this. And we locally here, this is where a lot of things that happen that they do affect us directly. And we have to sit there and watch y'all bicker back and forth.
That's right.
When it's bigger issues, it's bigger fish to fry. It's kind of discouraging, and y'all need to get it together. And this is a great opportunity to come out at IC Norcom this Saturday and put down your armor and join in and maybe before you come out there, look up the word humanity.
Humanity,
I don't think
yes.
some of you all know it. So look
And
that up.
go stand up with love too.
Yes.
What was that,
Look
Doctor?
up what they're about. And come out there. I just wanted to say that,
He said love.
has to
Love,
be,
yes, love,
we're spinning our wheels from the top.
exactly.
So just wanted to throw that in. And this time we like to give everybody an opportunity to make a last statement before we go off. And we certainly, well, I guess we'll start with our guest and Dr. Green, we're giving that to you already, right? Hope it doesn't jinx you, but Dr. Green.
She's proven herself time and time again. So
Oh, yeah.
Hey, motivation and manifestation. Hey, she's gonna
amen,
have it.
amen. Speak it into reality, right, Marcellus?
Into reality.
Absolutely.
If she don't make it
Okay.
that way, honoraries there too.
Amen. Okay,
I just want
Valeria.
to say thank y'all, honestly, just for having us. I wouldn't have wanted to do this with any other platform besides Portsmouth Coffee Talk. And for me, as we're talking about the city of Portsmouth, listen, y'all, it's people out here that love the city of Portsmouth. And I believe that if the council people and those who are in leadership see how much people love their city, it will allow for them to minimize a lot of the bickering and the fighting, because there's people that are right behind your back that's like, I'm holding you up. So come to the run, not just for humanities, but for yourself. It has to
Amen.
start within. So you're going to have people like myself that's going to get you right. One thing about me, you're not going to come and I'm not going to call you out. So it's time for us to really minimize the conflict and really just come together for our community. And if we don't do it for ourselves, we got to do it for these babies. They are dying left and right. The other day I was driving to Norfolk State and I drove past an actual like gas station, and I feel things, so that's why I do energy stuff. But I felt somebody's life leaving from them, and literally when I drove past, it was a bunch of cops and somebody was killed in broad daylight. It's things like that that we have to be like, okay, how can we be the change? So Saturday, we're being the change. We're just not talking about it. If y'all want to do anything, get Mars on your team, because he will make it happen in a couple months. Like this has happened, but it's been a blessing. And I just want to say thank y'all for having us in Portsmouth. There's people who love y'all. I stay in Suffolk, but I do a lot of my stuff in Portsmouth, because for me, that's really where my heart is. I hear you guys crying. I hear you guys wanting someone to come out and help. So you got it now. We here, we rocking with y'all. So make sure you utilize the resources that's going to be provided to you guys on Saturday at the John Carlos Run for Humanities, the first annual, because it's going to happen every single year until everybody on the team close their eyes. And I will make sure of that. So just love you guys and thank y'all for having us.
And Dr. Ernestine Duncan just said, okay, Dr. Malaria Green. Okay, Marcellus, before Marcellus, Deborah, you have not had an opportunity to say anything, Deborah.
No, I'm just here for support. No, no, but yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of Malira and just say thank you for having us here on this platform. It's going to be a wonderful experience to bring everybody together. It's been a journey trying to get here, but it's here. We're less than a week away, and I'm super, super excited. I want to see all my moms out there. Come walk with me, come walk with Earthside, come walk with Deb the doula for Infant Loss Awareness Month. And just bring everyone together. You know, I know there's lots of love in Portsmouth. I met my husband in Portsmouth. So, so I know there's love there, despite all of the negativity that is stemmed from Portsmouth when you hear Portsmouth. But we want to bring that side out more so than shining a light on the negativity. So, yeah.
Marcellus?
Yes, again, we will reiterate. Thank you guys for having us. I just want to say that everybody's saying we put this together fast, but the support has been awesome. As an annual thing, the support will do nothing but grow, but we do want people to get something from this event. We want people to come and enjoy themselves, but also feel what we're trying to do. Each one of our businesses has something to deal with bringing people together and taking care of people. That's really what we want to do, is support people in many different ways. But I do want to shout out everybody that's been a part of it. G Joint Productions, they're not here. That's Malara's husband. That's the entertainment. Our Need to Know You Need to Know Ministries is that our nonprofit. And then you got my mental health advocacy, neurospace, and then Earthside. So everybody, like we've said, has come together and been a big part of this, but we've all been about humanity since day one. And that's what we want you guys to get out. So come enjoy yourself. Like we said, all donations are welcome. Look up on Eventbrite, look up on GoFundMe, the John Carlos Run for Humanity. You guys can do everything through that.
Yes.
Links everywhere. But like I said, appreciate you guys for having us.
I don't know if we mentioned the scholarship that we're going to give out. Did we mention that in the awards? So yeah, that's going to be an annual thing. So donations definitely goes towards scholarships. And we would love to be able to eventually pass out more than one to a local athlete. So this year we do have our awardee, and I'm excited to present that. I'm excited.
We have plenty of other ideas coming up too. We're thinking about some sneaker bowls for the event and everything like that. So more to come. Well,
you have a venue here for Portsmouth Coffee Talk so that you can spread the word. We're here for you. We like what it is you're doing. It's all about humanity. It's all about love, and we are here to promote that. And we would like to see that humanity, as James says, and that love to start first with our city leadership, and then it will flow down into the communities and then to the youth. So it's important that we all become a part of this. So I encourage all of my friends out there to get out there Saturday morning at 7:00. Come on out there, get prepared to walk, run, whatever you choose to do, but come out to support this great event. And it's even more so that we have such a great man here in our midst, and Dr. John Carlos, here in our midst, who's willing to give up his time and his energy to come here to support his grandson and Malera and Deborah and the rest of the team. So Dr. Carlos, I thank you so very much. And I've enjoyed this conversation more than words could ever say. This is going to be on the top of my list. I had to add this to my bucket list. It wasn't on there, but it's going to be on there now. It's going to be something I'm adding to my bucket list, that I had a chance to sit back and talk to you. And Jackie Kendall, of course, she's still back and forth. She's still back and forth. That's your friend. That's your friend for sure. So
that's my baby girl. That's my baby girl for life. Jackie be always in my heart.
Yes.
And listen, for all your listeners out there, if I ever inspired you in any way, shape, or form, through my athletic abilities, through my little lectures that I give, or if you just saw me walking down the street, if I ever touched your mind, touched your heart, come out and join that day with us. If you can't make it, see if you can send a family member or a friend out. If you can't send anyone out, give a shout out. Make sure that you put the word out. Let them know that we're out here. If you miss us this year, don't forget, we'll be open arms for you next year. We'll be looking for you to come next year so we can give you that love. God bless you guys, and thanks for the opportunity.
And everyone who's on Facebook now, share this page onto your page and tag 99 of your friends when you share it. And when James put out the YouTube page later, go on there, subscribe, and share that as well. Colonel, James always gets the last word. So Colonel.
I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming on today. And I really need to give a shout out to Black women across this country, because one, they saved us during the last presidential election by sending a immoral racist home to Mar-a-Lago. And Dr. Carlos mentioned his girl, Stacy, who was running against Brian Kemp, who was another such gentleman down there. And she has already come out and said, if Black men show up, she can win that race.
Exactly.
So that is the same thing that can happen here in the city of Portsmouth. They can change our plight and the direction that the city goes on if they show up, because Black women are going to show up, but Black men is the big question mark. So
36,000 people didn't vote in the last election, so they need to show up and come forward.
That is a shame by itself. So the other piece is, I'm gonna give you this is a metaphor, and Dr. Carlos raised his fist, and as a nurse, it takes to raise that fist it takes the bones, the tendons, the muscles, and all the nerves to come in one movement for solidarity. And that's what we need, is to take the entire piece here, and that's a metaphor here, and a picture that I had to solidarity, and so we can help ourselves, because nobody is going to help us but ourselves.
Amen.
That is
Amen.
what I got to say. That's all I got to say. That's it.
James.
All right, Colonel.
That's our nurse. That's our nurse. Our nurse keeps us he keeps us in line. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Chapman. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, and I from one track style to another,
Oh God, here we go again.
Oh, Lord.
I'd like to thank Dr. Carlos for being here, for coming to our fair city and bringing what he's bringing to us. And I believe it's going to have an impact. I believe it's going to really have an impact. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully it starts at the top. I know
Exactly.
the people, we have people here on the ground, like you say, that are working hard. We just have to let that energy rise up to our leadership, because for some reason they don't get it. Anyway, I'd like to thank the other guests, Marcellus and Deborah. You have an open invitation, like Leah said, to come back here and talk about what you're doing in the area. We really will make time. We have plenty of opportunities for you to come on and do that. And Dr. Green, thank you for all of it. You know it's open for you to come back at any time. And I think it's fitting. This morning we had Dr. Ernest Duncan on, talking about domestic violence and mental health. So all this ties in, and what we need to do to come together, because we have to take care of those people that have problems as well. So let's continue. You continue to do what you do, and open invitation for you. And my co-host, thank you. I appreciate
And let's
you.
all salute Dr. Carlos. Let's put that fist up in the air for Dr. Carlos. Great job, young man.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yo, some kids asked me, say, Dr. Carlos, how come you don't put your fist up when we taking a picture? And I have to tell them, I say, young man, you put your fist up, and I pointed yours. They said, well, how come you don't put yours up? I said, because I am the fist.
All right. I love it. I love it.
Great answer. Great answer. And with that being said, Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice.
Oh, my cup is downstairs. Our community.
In our future.
All right. And
I
we
gave
salute you.
the fist instead, okay? And thank you all. Thank you so very much. I look forward to seeing you Saturday morning.
Yes.
And
yeah.
in person, meeting Marcellus and Deborah in person. And Malira, I'm not going to add that Lyria like I usually do. I'm not going to put the extra on there, okay? So thank you all so very much. And once again, Saturday morning, 7 o'clock, I see Norcom High School from 7 until 1 p.m. Am I correct?
Yes. If you're ready to run, 7 to 7:30, get ready to register. The run will start at the run and walk will start at 8:30 or 8:15 to 8:30.
Okay. So we look forward to seeing you all out there. Thank you so very much.
Community event all the whole time.
And Malaria, thank you for thinking about Portsmouth Coffee Talk.
Take care, fellas.
So many people ask me, Hannah, where did y'all get Dr. Carlos? I said, oh, we got the inside scoop. So thank you all so very much.
Okay. I just wanted to say this. We'll be there and do it Facebook Live, and hopefully some of the local TV stations will be there. Just contact them, and maybe they'll show up. At least one of them will show up.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks again.
Appreciate you, Leah.
Thank you.
Guys, blessings, everyone.
Blessings to you as well, my darling.